Hello, my name is Natalia Belyakova and we start with Grand Tour program. Warm greetings from St. Petersburg, Russia. And it's my honor to host here today Timothy Lee, Associate Professor of University of the Sunshine Coast, Professor of Asia-Pacific Research Institute for Health-Oriented Tourism and Editor-in-Chief of International Journal of Tourism Sciences. Timothy, first of all, thanks a lot for visiting us. We will speak about health-oriented tourism and how the trends of our consumption of detox resorts and so on revive the places through the tourism trends. So, but my first questions for sure, because now we're in the middle of coronavirus, such challengeable situation for all tourism industry. How do you feel? Do you feel maybe some consequences precisely regarding this situation?
Well, first of all, my name is Timothy Lee from Australia. And I'm very thrilled and excited and a bit nervous to be here.
No, just relax.
St. Petersburg in Russia, my first visit, my long time waited visit to this great country. So I'm very happy and I'm enjoying staying in here. And I'm also very feeling honored to be here as a speaker. Yes, you mentioned very good topic, coronavirus, which is everybody talks about in these days. And every global media and broadcasting company and even people in the neighborhood, everybody talks about coronavirus. Well, personally, I also have serious consequences from coronavirus spread and outbreak because I'm the chief organizer and founding director of 2 international conferences. So I created those 2 conferences. And they are called International Congress of Health-Oriented Tourism and Hospitality, which I call ICOHAT. The second one is GLOSIT, Global Congress of Special Interest Tourism and Hospitality. I say GLOSIT. So those 2 conferences I'm hosting every year in different cities, different countries. And this year, the ICOHAT, the health-oriented tourism, supposed to be hosted in June in Bangkok, Thailand. But because of the coronavirus outbreak, I postponed, delayed to the first weekend of December this year. And also the second one, the GLOSIT conference, supposed to be hosted in Macau, China. And then it also moved to November. So I try to minimize or avoid any negative consequences created by the widespread the coronavirus. So because at the moment people really afraid and try to cancel or avoid any unnecessary international travel. So this is the
So you
decision
worked in
I had to
advance,
make.
just informed them in advance about
because when you
removing
host international conference, you have to work way in advance. Even though it's even December or November event, you need to do many things even from now. Promoting, there are so many things you need to be organizing and prepare for. So I think this is the right decision. Yeah, even though I don't want to make any changes to that makes some confusion for potential delegate, but I couldn't help. Coronavirus is nothing but kind of natural disaster, just like volcano eruption or earthquake or tsunami, something like that. So there are not many things we can do at the moment.
I wish we will meet at November and December.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, because actually conference is focused are focused on very important topic. They are dedicated to the healthcare tourism and the special interest tourism. That's why we're here, by the way. That's the topic of our program.
Yeah.
And first of all, let's dive a little bit deeper into definitions. What's the difference, in your professional opinion, between medicine tourism, healthcare tourism, detox tourism? Actually, we have even in professional fields, in academic fields, I mean, we have lots of definitions about, I think, more or less one trend we're speaking about.
I see. Well, there are so many different types of definition when we talk about health tourism, healthcare tourism. Some people say wellness tourism, medical tourism, spa tourism. There are many similar terminologies. But in my opinion, the definition could be, and even aim, purpose of the health tourism is, through the tourism industry, through tourism activities, all the stakeholders in the tourism industry can enjoy high level of their happiness through improving their quality of life. When we talk about, generally speaking, about tourism industry, everybody emphasize tourist numbers and receipt, the foreign exchange, how much money the tourists spend in the local destination. That's the great contribution and to the local economy. Well, I don't deny that. That's very important. But nowadays, in the 21st century, more importance falls on not only particular like entrepreneurs or businessmen or hoteliers or restaurant enjoy the benefit of tourism industry. This is the time all the stakeholders or the group who are involved directly and indirectly should enjoy the benefit of tourism industry. Especially, I would like to emphasize the local residents' benefit and contribution. Their role is huge. But in most cases, tourism industry doesn't emphasize enough the importance of local residents.
Could you kindly share with us some cases which you like more, which emphasize this idea, underline this idea, how the healthcare tourism developed the place in terms of increasing level of life of residents?
Yeah, actually, health-oriented tourism is one of the most important and fast-growing special interest tourism sector. As we know, more than 10% of the global GDP comes from tourism industry, and health industry adds up another 5%. So when you say health and tourism industry, it is more than 15% of the global GDP, which is the far bigger than any automobile industry, petroleum industry, any other industry in the world. So it's really big, and also it has so strong the value-added aspect. So nowadays, the global population grows older, and less number of people in most of the rich countries. So that means there are more demand of the people who want to spend on health focus while they are traveling. If you are 85 years old, you're not interested in bungee jumping or very extreme sports or anything like that. Whenever you try to design some tourist program, tourist activities for yourself, you want to make sure how healthy the destination is, what's the air or environment or climate it is, what kind of food I'm going to be eating, is the place I can make my health even more improved. That's the main focus instead of wild activities.
But in maybe I'm wrong, but in my opinion, the trend for developing health care tourism depends not only on silver surfers, you know.
That's right.
Only the
right.
Generation Z and so on. More focused, more than previous generation, focused on biohacking.
Definitely, for all ages, all gender, all ethnic groups. It's not only old men or old women. But I would like to also emphasize there are 5 different categories in health-oriented tourism. It's not only physical health. We also talk about mental, emotional health, spiritual health, and then social health and environment health. So these are all health tourism categories, not only physical. So emotional,
the holistic approach.
Very holistic, very integrated, very all combined. So that's why it has so much opportunities and demand for entrepreneurs. But also, as I mentioned, I would like to emphasize the benefit of the local resident through the tourism industry. They can learn some new ideas from the tourist, and also they can health tourism can be developed very strategically as a local destination differentiation strategies. Yeah, because every different destination has its own storytelling, own culture, tradition, history, and also some healthy food materials as well. So actually, even St. Petersburg can develop as a very competitive health tourism destination as long as it's successfully developed and promote what only St. Petersburg has from its tradition or old stories or experience or some know-hows which is inherited from several centuries ago.
It's a very interesting point.
You need to only include those things to health focus, because there is no one in this whole world doesn't want to be healthy. Right. So everyone has a strong interest in health.
It's a very interesting point for St. Petersburg, for the unique selling proposition of the place. That we have already developed the idea of St. Petersburg as destination of medicine tourism, but that's a little bit wider focus on the idea of well-being tourism. For example, culture and good vibes of the city and so on could also treat the person, the tourist.
That's right. So St. Petersburg is full of beautiful tourism resources and attractions. And when I say health-oriented tourism, especially in sentimental health and emotional health, St. Petersburg also can attract nostalgia for some people who remember Leningrad and old days of St. Petersburg. So when they visit some old heritages, like a Soviet,
very young.
I went to Soviet Museum yesterday, and they feel rejuvenated. They feel very young, and they feel like, oh, I'm really going back to 30 years ago, 25 years ago. So now I'm back into my teenage or in my 20s. So that's another broader terms of health tourism categories St. Petersburg can strategically develop.
Maybe you can share some examples of destination who in previous several years you've seen it, you focused precisely on such holistic approach to healthcare tourism.
Well, in many Asian countries, East Asian countries, they are strategically developing health-oriented tourism. In this world, more than 70 countries take medical tourism or health-oriented tourism as one of the top 10 national strategic tourism areas.
For example,
For example, South Korea, Thailand, India, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, they are really pushing forward very actively development of health-oriented tourism. But it's interesting to see each country has its own priorities with their strength. For example, in India, they are really developed and strong in yoga and wellness tourism, meditation or Ayurveda, that kind of things. And South Korea, they are very successful in cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery. Many women from other country, they love to visit in South Korea, and they stay for weeks. And it's a natural understanding. Many women want to be even more prettier.
That's a very interesting idea, because you not
they are doing
just
very well.
realize what's your most strong thing in promoting like wellness, well tourism destination, but also look what's the competitive set around you about your ideas to become the yoga destination. Look, India focused on it.
Wellness,
at least
yoga,
10 years.
Yeah, right. So the physical beauty and the mental confidence, they are working together. So when you feel more attractive or more handsome or more beautiful, you get gained confidence, and you mentally you also feel much better. So physical cosmetic surgery can lead to mental wellness and well-being. So they are interacting each other. And also Singapore, they are really aiming at richest patient group in the whole world with the
patient tribes.
They have so developed technology, cutting-edge technology in medical science. So they are very good in attracting millionaire, billionaire patients who need some medical treatment. Many people from United Arab Emirates and those billionaires, the royal family, they visit Singapore and they spend enormous of money as a medical tourist in Singapore. And in case of Australia, where I come from, they are also very attractive because they are very rich in well-deserved, preserved the environment. Nice fresh air and blue skies and relaxed atmosphere. So people, most of the foreign tourists who come to Australia, they feel very easy, comfortable and relaxed, which is one of the core components of wellness tourism.
Previously we speak about strategy, how to realize the most strong thing for promotion, for positioning, and then to compare yourself with the competitors, and now tactics. Which are kinds of practical acts, improvements, destinations made positioning themselves on well-being tourist market?
I see. In case of Thailand, for example, they are really, Thailand is one of the top leading country in terms of especially medical tourism. There are a couple of hospitals I visited recently, and it has a totally combined holistic approaches. In the hospital, there is a travel agency, there is a visa agency, so there are some medical tourists with a special visa. So even the one office inside the hospital building, which is huge building, Bamrungrat Hospital in the central Bangkok, they do all services one stop. So the foreign tourist can stay easily without hurry and hustle to extend visa and get some immigration.
One window, right?
So one stop, they can do all. and they also can enjoy the package tour. And even shopping and all the
Who
demands
responsible
can be.
for it? The special agency for well-being tourism, or just the national tourist board?
Both. And don't forget, the medical tourist or health tourism, the tourists also love to do shopping. So you cannot deny, even though they are medical patient or they come to Thailand as a main focus as a medical treatment or some other healthcare, they really love to do shopping. So they provide both.
Actually, that's very interesting idea. How because when we define the special groups of interest, the special segments, we do not forget that they all actually in real life that all combine together. And my question about your conference, the idea of your conference about special interest groups, how you see which ones the special groups could you clarify in this global trend for well-being tourism? For example, the small group who focused on surgery, beauty surgery. The second group focused on biohacking. Actually, they drink some remedies, and so it's the very hard process. So, could you clarify such narrow segments?
Yeah, it depends on how they
taking into account, of course, they in general life they combine together. For example, the medical tourists, of course, like shopping and so on.
It mainly can be classified how urgent their healthcare is. If you have a really decayed teeth, it's you need to do without any waste of time. You really want to do in a day or two. So dental or medical is more reactive and more urgent, more short term. And then health tourism is between medical tourism and wellness tourism. And wellness tourism is much more long term and much more voluntary, much more nearly all life long. So you are okay at the moment, you are not sick or you are not ill, but you want to maintain your health while you are still healthy. So in market perspective, health tourism has, wellness tourism has much bigger the market profitable opportunity than medical tourism.
Let's turn a bit to the tactics. So you give the taste of Thailand, the case of Thailand, and then maybe some other examples how destination promote itself in this well-being trend.
Yeah, mainly two things. One is storytelling, one is differentiation. As I mentioned, every single country, even though there are more than 70 countries, really emphasize development of health tourism and medical tourism in the whole world. And the important tactics you need to develop for St. Petersburg or Russia, you need to differentiate unique things only this country or only this destination can provide. That's what tourists really feel fascinated about. And also you can put some story. For example, this is a small like oil, and then 250 years ago one of the emperors of Russia in this St. Petersburg, he was coughing for 3 weeks, and then when he put this oil in his neck, he got cured in 3 hours, something like that. And every tourist really fascinated about that, and he wants to try because he can learn those medical patient can learn the history, story of the destination, and also want to be in the famous celebrity. So as I mentioned, each country, each destination has its own culture, tradition, history, and weather, and even soil is different. You cannot replicate. You know, just because St. Petersburg is beautiful, some other country like Tokyo can copy and duplicate what all St. Petersburg has, because it has different soil, different climate.
Maybe some
So you have to be different.
some common approach to the, for example, to the infrastructure. Which infrastructure could be if destination focused on well-being tourism? That's about it.
Well, infrastructure can be very broad and general. Maybe if you, as a St. Petersburg, if I focused, you can set up some target health tourists, because health tourists can be so diverse. So it's worth, you can set up some target market, come from your geographic location, your strength and your attractions and your main, the tourist arrivals, the countries. So you can a little bit more specific.
Yeah, in medicine tourism, precisely in medicine tourism, realize, for example, that for we St. Petersburg focused on some segments of healthcare, of some medicine, helping with some medicine problem, in precise area, for example, eyes or stomatology or so on. But in terms of this holistic approach, of course, maybe it's the combination of resorts, of the understanding of locals, how, why. Because for St. Petersburg, for example, for locals is not obvious things that it could be their destination for healthy tourism or for well-being. It's not very sunny city for us, you know. So and that's the maybe the point to work with the self-understanding of the locals.
Yeah, that's very important. Enlightening local residents the importance of tourism industry and importance of the resources they already have. Actually, I met many St. Petersburg local.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. I met many local people. They are beautiful. They are very kind. They don't look, to be very honest, they don't look very kind or soft compared to Japanese people, as I lived in 6 years until 2 years ago. But actually their inside, their heart is much warmer and they are very kind and very helpful. And one of the tactics you can emphasize is food, local food. Make the tourist believe some type of local St. Petersburg food is really good for their health. There are many seafood, and St. Petersburg is one of the very few Russian cities with beautiful sea lines and beaches and coastlines. So that means you are very advantageous in accessing fresh and healthy seafood, and then you can put localized ambience, localized culture in some local food and promote that's very healthy food. Maybe you can even specify healthy for some stomachache, healthy for some
because we
type of
have a little bit in different ways. We have the project for developing the medicine tourism, it's the surgery and so on, and the other project developing the St. Petersburg cuisine, and we should combine it, or maybe to penetrate a bit.
Every human being eats 3 times every day, even some people eat 4 or 5 times. Doesn't matter how healthy you are, how sick you are, how old you are, doesn't matter. Everybody eats. So try to make a little bit differentiate and unique and special out of the St. Petersburg cuisine. Maybe in my gut feelings, St. Petersburg has too many attractions for tourists. That could be confusing the tourist. In case of Moscow, everybody knows the basilica, cathedral, and when you talk about Sydney, everybody knows the opera house. So you need to have a very strongly striking one landmark. But in my opinion, maybe St. Petersburg has too many. That could be some weakness. So you need to develop none more than one or two very strong landmark that can
just
be
to focus the attention.
That can be recognized by everybody in the whole world. But unfortunately, so far, I think there are too many.
But you see, maybe we prevent the over tourism. We would like to disseminate the tourist flow in different places. Maybe that's the reason. Timothy, how do you like the idea, or do you believe in idea when some destinations have partnership in area of well-being tourism? For example, in South Korea, we start with the surgery, and then for plastic surgery, and then for recovery we move to other place. Maybe these cross-border programs. Maybe in the world something like this exists. It's the first question. And the second one, do you believe in such collaboration, or if every country would like to will be focused on staying on and attracting tourists in one place? Because my idea is the world is their life is very, very short, unfortunately. And tourists, especially Generation Z and so on, intend to visit more destinations.
I know what you mean. So you can maximize the tourism opportunity by sticking together among different destinations. One of the examples I can think of, in South Korea, there is a small, not very small, but one island, biggest island of the country, and which we call Jeju. And it is very typical and famous tourist destination. But recently, they developed like a walking pathway. So people can enjoy real local landscape, not only very famous building and take a photograph, but they can enjoy the fresh air, because its island is very clean and fresh and healthy destination. So, and most of the people who come to that destination, that island, is from metropolitan city, which is very strict and urban people. So while they are arriving that island, they really want to be free and escape from the daily stress. And so there are many strategically developed routes. They walk for hours, like 1 hour, 2 hours, very comfortable.
But it's all you've mentioned in one country, right?
Yeah, but southern Japan, they also develop same thing. So they are exchanging similar programs. So that is another form of wellness tourism, because they can enjoy walking for a couple of hours in a very healthy destination, enjoying the fresh air, and also they can enjoy the local interaction with the local people while they are walking, not too commercialized people. So this is very sustainable way of tourism development. And also, while they are enjoying that, they also want to enjoy in some other countries in similar landscape. So that's another approaches we can develop. St. Petersburg, Estonia, or Finland, or Latvia, they can try, or even Moscow. Yeah.
I have one more question, and that's from my experience like place marketer. You know, I work a lot with some Russian regions and as well with foreign countries in focusing on place marketing, and the very difficult thing is occurred then destination. From the one side, they focused, they had the strategy to promote themselves, to position themselves, and to promote like the destination for healthcare tourism. And on the other side, they promote themselves, you know, for investors, like the destination. Then they could that would very welcome to bring money here and to bring the plant, some industry and so on. And the difficulty, the real difficulty, how to balance these actually different, you know, position messages. We are very healthy destination, come and relax, and we focused on you know, industries. We focused on plants, on not very healthy industry as well, just to come and to build such infrastructure here. How to combine it? You know,
yeah, that's a very good point.
We have such program at Baikal Lake. You know, it's one of the UNESCO objects in Russia, and Baikal focused both in attracting the, you know, the regions around Baikal. First of all, they interested as well at investors to invest money in some industries, and their second idea to promote destination for health being tourism, because Baikal is a sacred lake and so on.
Yeah, one of the strategic approaches can be creating one festival. As I know, festival is very strategically strong the weapon and approaches, because especially in St. Petersburg, I think there clearly exists seasonality problem. Everybody is much enjoy in summer season, and winter season is quite different. Well, during the low season, just like in winter season, you can develop some local festival, can be promoted to internationally, and in that festival, try to emphasize and focus some health-oriented, health-focused resources St. Petersburg has. That could be very strong weapon to develop and promote. So far, St. Petersburg is such a beautiful city, but I don't think it has a strong reputation and image as a health-oriented tourist destination. But in my opinion, there are so strong potential you can do. So one of them is create and develop the festival, and that could also awake and appeal external investor. Yeah.
Thanks for advance.
Make one slogan, healthy Petersburg or something.
Yeah.
Something.
To go to St. Petersburg is very healthy.
You get younger.
Yeah. Dear Timothy, thanks a lot for your time, for your great advices, by the way, to the destination. And I hope we will see you very soon at your very, very professional made and very actual conferences, because one of them is for healthcare tourism, and say it once again, it will be in November.
Special interest. Yeah, health-oriented is first weekend of December in Bangkok, Thailand this year. The other one would be in November in Macau, right next to Hong Kong. Yeah, Macau.
So say the date. See you. Thanks a lot. See you on Grand Tour routes.